All right, we are joined by 1500-meter world champion Josh Kerr, good friend of the program. We've had you on multiple times over the years, and this one's a little bit interesting because I'm catching you in the fall, and we're talking about the indoor season, and this is like a weird time where everyone's kind of in base training. So, Josh, it's really nice to see your face. The big scoop here: Josh Kerr, the world champion, headlines the 2024 Millrose Games men's 2 mile. What's the plan here?
Well, I think obviously it's normally a 3K, and so there was definitely a little bit of chatter about how can we make this the most exciting event possible and really have a go at some fast times and make them as relevant as we can to the world. And there's some fast times out there that I think we're going to be going after.
Yeah, so that's a really good way of putting it because I guess like a 3K to an American audience doesn't really mean a whole lot. But when you say 2 mile and what we saw this summer with Jakob running 7:54, that's two sub 4 minute miles back to back, no stopping. That blows a person's mind. What did you sort of take away from watching that race? The indoor 2 mile world record is 8:03 by Mo Farah back in 2015. So the obvious question is, are world records on your mind? It's so far out so far that it's like it's hard to make like a definitive declaration of like it's going down. But how are we feeling about it?
Yeah, I think, like you're saying, yeah, we're 3 months out. However, I'd be amiss to say that this is not like a race event to go after the 2 mile world record. And so there's going to be a fantastic field, but it will be paced at the 2 mile world record. Currently, I'm in fantastic shape. I'm having an amazing fall, dealing with everything new and everything that's exciting and amazing and also terrible about being a world champion. Just taking up my time every day. And yeah, I'm very excited for it. I mean, I think, Millrose is the best indoor meet of the year, I think. I think it's got an atmosphere like nowhere else, and we're just looking to make it as exciting as possible. And I think Ray and everyone over there at the Millrose Games have just tried as hard as they can to keep the fields exciting and to keep the races exciting.
Millrose is my favorite meet of the year. Can you describe a little bit more of that atmosphere and why people should go and buy their tickets at millrosegames.org?
So for if you haven't experienced it, I think, I've ran it, I think, every single year since I was invited from when I was in college. And the reason for it is there's just like the atmosphere in there, it's so small for how many people are in there. And, there's no one in the infield or anything like that. It's slightly different that way. But you've just got a packed out stadium, you've got a hospitality event, you've just got race after race of the most elite guys and girls in the world going after fast times. And, it's less of like, let's run this distance because it makes sense. It's more of let's run this distance because let's go for the most exciting event possible. If it's the 600 or the mile or the 1500 or the 2 mile, or like, the 200, the 60, whatever. It's just like quick action. And yeah, then you've just got events that you're probably the closest you could be to some of the best runners in the world.
This year it overlaps with the Super Bowl. Can we get a guarantee that the men's 2 mile is going to be bigger and better than the Super Bowl?
We need to get a 1 mile halftime show through the 2 mile. But yeah, I'm not a huge American football fan, so I definitely think it's going to be more exciting. It's definitely going to be quicker and more intensely exciting. I can tell you that.
A question people might be wondering when they see this announcement is why not the mile? We were wondering that last year when you chose to run the 3K, you end up winning that. So it's not like you made the wrong decision or anything. So why not the mile this time?
So for me, I think it's really, really important to be ready for the mile when it's time to be ready for the mile. And I think there's definitely a place for it. Like it was going through my mind. I was thinking about running one. I kind of wanted to run one at home. I kind of want to run one at like the Birmingham World Indoor Tour. Sadly, that's not a thing this year. And at that time in February, I was like, well, I'm still coming off really, really high base training, and I still want to be running or training towards a 5K at that time of year. And so it just fits in kind of perfectly where it is a bit speedier, but it's not the mile, because I think, you know, the mile is a fantastic distance, but I do think it's such an accumulation of like, how good are you at the 5? How good are you at the 8? Run a fantastic 15. And, you know, the way that we always create the year is work on your 5, work on your 8, run a good mile. And yeah, so it is sad though, because I've been second in the Millrose Mile twice and I've never won it. And it's like a huge goal of mine. But after everything went so well last year, we're not going to really stray too far away from that initial or plan that went so well last year. So the 2 mile fits in pretty perfectly.
So the biggest thing with you and Danny is that there's always intention when it comes to selecting your races. I mean, kind of we go back to 2022, you ran Millrose and then, you know, surprised a lot of people by running that BU mile. But there was intention behind it because you knew that you were fit and you wanted that race to kind of prove it. It's hard to see without seeing what the final outcome is going to be from months from now. But like, this is the first season where you've said that you have the blueprint to know what it takes to be a champion. How does a 2 mile, or how do you presume a 2 mile fits into that greater equation?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I have this roadmap for what I believe will make the best Olympic final for me. It's going to be different for my teammates. It's going to be different for any 50 meter or 800 meter runner in the world. So for me, I know what makes me tick. I don't need a rust buster. I'm good at going out and getting the job done. I don't like to over race because I like to race extremely hard and extremely well, and we taper for things. And I just want to make sure that the training's there. And if the training's there, I am the best 50 meter runner in the world. And so I just need to make sure there's consistency. And so the way that I look at races is, what can I do to bring the most value to that race, as well as being, you know, learning as much as possible from that race. So, you know, when I get paid to go to races now, I don't want to be 5th or 6th place like I could have before. And so it's about when someone buys a ticket to the Millrose game, they're like, oh, if Josh says, you know, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, he's going after this world record, I'm going and I want to see it. And I'm not gonna go be like, oh well, it's okay if I don't get it. And so there's a lot more not external pressure, but like there is more expectation there. So that has to be taken with a, you know, an extra step of being like, okay, it's gonna be a little bit more stressful in some of these situations, but you're just gonna have to deal with that. And so yeah, it's not really been part of me since college to go out and race a lot. But this 2 mile excites me. And that's what I had a problem with after the Olympics, was like nothing really got me out of bed and to go and run. And I really struggled through the fall after the Olympic Games because I was just like, oh, it's the World Championship year. It's awesome. But, you know, it's going to take me so long to dig myself out of this hole that I've drank and eaten myself into. But yeah, so this year is a little bit more like, let's find things that excite us. And that 2 mile definitely excites me.
Okay, so a lot was made out of your diet in the lead up to Budapest. When does the diet start for Millrose?
It started 6 weeks ago, or whenever we started practice. You know, it's less of a diet now. I guess it's more of like a lifestyle. That's just kind of how I deal with my nutrition. Is my nutritionist and my chef kind of just work together and make sure that they're putting together smart and just well-rounded meals for me, because it's just that it was just something that it wasn't a strength for me. It was a real big weakness where I'd be eating like a college kid. You know, my fiance lives in Florida, so she doesn't help me with the cooking anymore, and I'm a bit of a slob when it comes to food. So yeah, so we just thought it would be a good idea to keep that going. So yeah, it's there. It's going to keep going.
All right. So one thing I've noticed in the last couple of weeks since you did get back to practice, lots of Instagram posts, lots of reels. Like last year, you were like kind of holding the cards close to your chest. This time around, you're really sharing in the process, in the journey. Is this all intentional?
I think for me, it was almost like we were trying different things training wise. We were really just trying to figure out what worked behind the scenes a little bit more. But now I kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. I feel a bit more comfortable sharing what I'm doing, where people aren't like, "Oh, that's weird," like that. I don't know why you would do this or why you do that. People get, they get real opinionated when things aren't going super well. But no, I just feel a bit more comfortable sharing some things, and I think we're in an age now where content is important to fans and like for each brand that we work with and things like that. And so I'm just also trying to create value for people who are trying to follow me and follow my story as well, behind who I really am, because I do feel like I've kind of missed the mark on that a couple of times. I was just kind of like, you know what, I think this is something that I could get better at, and hopefully give a bit more insight in what it takes to be a world champion.
When Danny was on our show, he talked about the key performance indicators. I love the phrase. I just saw on Instagram that you guys had one recently. What can you share about that? And what were some of like the takeaways for where you are in the season right now?
I was going to share that on the Instagram, but I got no footage of the KPI workout. And it was really obvious that the workout that I shared on the video was not the workout that I was talking about. And so that's why I didn't share it. But yeah, no, I can share it. So we just did a 2300s off of like a 100-meter jog. And then we actually spiked up at 10. So we took a minute and a half or 2 minutes extra at 10, and I think we averaged like 46.9 or 47.1 or something like that. But we run that workout every year, and normally when we run that workout, let me explain it a little bit more. So you're doing 300s, and then it's just a slight jog. It normally takes us about 30 seconds, between 25 and 30 seconds to jog that 100 recovery. And it's supposed to be like a goal 5K race pace workout. Now, my goal 5K race pace and my actual 5K race pace are very different, I believe, because I haven't run a very good 5K, which, we can get into at some point. But so, yeah, it was just like we ran the workout every year, and it's always super hard. Danny's like, "Right, prepare for something to be like an 8 or 9 out of 10." I think Danny's 10 out of 10 and my 10 out of 10 are slightly different, where I'm like, I want to be taken away in an ambulance at 10 out of 10. And so 9 out of 10 is pretty close to that. So we did it, and we've averaged faster than what we'd ever done, and faster than he was expecting. And I just was like, look, I'm at like a 6 or a 7. So we had to add more onto the workout. And that's
what were you averaging? Don't leave the people hanging.
I think the first 5 were 48, second 5 were 47s, third 5 were 46s, and fourth 5 were 45 points. Yeah. And so, but it was a group of us. It was myself, Henry Wynn, Will Lead, Brannon, I believe that was it. Yeah, I think that was it. And so, yeah, no, it was a squad effort. And, I think, some people did 17, 18, 16. Myself and Henry did 20. And then we added a little bit extra of just like a mile worth of pretty much sprinting the 100 and then jogging the bends, just because we'd had spikes on for quite a while at this time of season. But and so it's just things are clicking. It's a bit easier. These workouts are a bit easier than they normally are. And it just shows through a little bit of commitment in the fall of just getting the mileage in and staying on track with a lifestyle of food that things can come together. So yeah, we're having a good time in the fall in Seattle.
How do 200 repeats fit into your title defense for the holiday half, or is that not going to happen?
Now, my favorite race of the year by far, I'm sorry, Millrose, by far is the San Diego holiday half. But I'm really scared it's not going to be the experience I want it to be. My first ever 5K was one of the easiest races I've ever ran, because I didn't quite understand the concept of it yet. We went out super slow and we closed. I ran my second ever 5K. It was the hardest race I've ever ran to this day. And so now I'm worried that this half it's not going to be the experience I want.
But you're going to do it.
I'm going to run the San Diego half. Yeah. Yeah. So
wow.
Myself and Henry are going to run it. Ali Baholski is going to run it. And I think Dylan Maggard might run it. Oh, Dylan's also ran the workout last week as well. Sorry, Dylan. He's going to be real mad at me for that. And so yeah, we were just discussing. We were like, you know, we can talk about it closer to the time, see where we are. We're not gonna like train for it because we don't train for it. Like the longest tempo we've done is like 7 miles, but we were like, yeah, we could have some fun with it. And I'm trying to like message the guys I was running with last year, but like I'm trying to get my fiance to like message them in Spanish so that they can so we can have a good time again. But yeah, hopefully it's a good turnout and hopefully it's good weather. But yeah, another downhill half. You can't go wrong.
I love it. I didn't know that the San Diego Holiday Half has the cash for an appearance fee for a world champion like
Listen,
that.
I'm
Or
pretty
wait,
sure
did you or are you paying your race entry?
I'm pretty sure I got my race entry waived. So I
Okay.
was like, whoa, you know, I think that comes with a t-shirt too. So, you know, I really wanted to pace a major marathon instead, but there wasn't really like New York was just slightly too early. We always do like a time trial type effort or something hard at the end of this block. And so round about the 15th to 16th of December. And so it just works out super well with the dates. There's a couple other halves that we were talking about, but you got to go with the holiday half. It's a fantastic event.
How
They're not paying me any money to go there.
how so if you did New York, how far would you have wanted to go?
That's a great question. I don't know how far I could have gone. I mean, if it was in December, what did they go through the half in? I watched it, but maybe if I would probably pace like some like the UK guys or something like that. Maybe some like obviously not the top group, but I think I could pace pretty smoothly through the half at 65.
Okay.
65, 4.5, something like that.
Yeah, because I was
But
gonna say if you would have done Chicago, like Kelvin Kiptoon would be a really tough one.
no. I'll do the first 5K maybe on that, but yeah. So I think that's a goal for the future for sure. Maybe some other like a non-Olympic year where we can have some fun with it, but yeah, this year is just going to be the holiday half again.
Love it. All right, Josh. Well, I appreciate you taking the time for this, and I'm looking forward to the road to the Millrose Games and the title defense comes at well, I guess you got a while until the title defense, but in Olympic year, the stakes are high, and I would say you have a little bit of a target on your back.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah, you'll see some more shit to be talked on Instagram, I'm sure, closer to the time.